What are some of the common problems that organizations face in implementing DevOps, and how might they address those?
Yeah, there is a lot of common problems I see in the marketplace, a lot of patterns that I see. Because keep in mind, we are changing people, process, and technology basically all at the same time. So there's a myriad of issues that organizations come across when they're trying to instantiate DevOps within their companies. I think a lot of companies think they can buy DevOps. They don't realize it's a movement, it's a philosophical approach to how you innovate that involves multidisciplines. So they think they can focus on the technology as their way to obtain DevOps, either buying it. So buying DevOps, I hear that, can I buy DevOps once in a while from customers that don't understand the full scope of what it means. We have customers that have created a DevOps team, and the team is not fully dedicated to the DevOps project or mandate. They got a foot in both the legacy as well as the new DevOps team, and that really slows things down. I've even seen people try to do DevOps and not change process. They're still using what we call waterfall or only agile-based processes to innovate. And they've actually have come up with terms around waterfall DevOps as an example. I've heard from one actual vendor. So they're not really addressing the process side of what DevOps mean. Obviously they're not, and the core thing is the cultural aspect. If you don't have the right culture, a generative culture where we have people that trust each other across development and operations and testing and security and compliance, if you don't have that free flow of information, you'll not be able to iterate very fast and get the outcomes that you want in a short period of time. People don't understand all the tooling that's required to set up this automated technology value stream. They might have gaps in terms of their architecture, or they adopt tools that don't integrate together and they don't get the speed that they expect when they go through the automated testing process from after source code's been put into a repository and it's been built and goes through the application lifecycle. We also see some organizations that don't give enough funding to the project, and they expect certain very definite outcomes of what they want to build, and they don't realize that this is an iterative approach to building a minimal viable product that will change over time based on priorities set by hopefully the business owner within the actual DevOps team. So they're looking for certainty in something that inherently is not certain. And of course, a lot of organizations don't have put the right people into the team, people that are fed up with the way they work today and think they need change within the organization. They don't put highly respected or influential people with that team that can take that first approach to DevOps and talk about the outcomes and bring and expand that to the next set of DevOps teams that you assemble and go through the organization. And a lot of people do struggle with getting across the chasm. If you look at Jeffrey Moore's diffusion of innovation approach to understanding how you change an organization and transform it, they don't have the right people that can build the trust with the legacy parts of the organization to believe that there's a better way to do things. And lastly, I think a lot of organizations, if they're government or they have very rigid policies, they don't realize that they need to reinterpret what policies mean or what legislation means in the DevOps world. There might be different ways of interpreting that policy, or maybe they need to change legislation if it's a government entity to reflect the fact that there's a new way of innovating and that the legislation's outdated. There is still a lot of need to change legislation. I see that across the provinces and the federal government in Canada. So those are some of the trials and tribulations that organizations face as they try to instantiate DevOps within their companies.
Okay.